Good morning. It's Wednesday, December 14th. One of our stories today is again about New England cod, and I picked up on a worrisome trend, something that's kind of bothering me, which is that I'm afraid that we're facing a possibility where New England cod over the long term could go the way of Long Island lobster. You'll recall that the Long Island lobster fishery was devastated in the early 2000s when there was spraying for mosquitoes in the New York City area. But they never recovered after that. And the reason that the lobster populations never recovered was because the water temperature in Long Island Sound had increased to the point where it was much more difficult for the lobsters to survive. The problem that I'm seeing in New England cod, we report in a story today that some of the fishermen fear that the same negative stock assessment that's been done in the Gulf of Maine is next going to apply to Georges Bank. And the common factor here, in reading the assessment report, I came across a statement that there's not been a good spawning year for cod in the Gulf of Maine in the last 20 years. And what is some of the factors that might impact this? And one factor clearly is changes in water temperature. Cod in New England is at the southern end of its historic range. And as water temperatures warm, the overall ecological situation may get less favorable to cod, even though that's the iconic New England fish. What we see on Georges Bank is that the biomass is now dominated by dogfish and skate, whereas it used to be dominated by cod and haddock. And it's possible that that some of the difficulties we're seeing with cod are actually being brought about by longer-term climate changes. I spoke last week about how it was very strange that a number of fishery models seemed to be all of a sudden less reliable than they'd been in the past. I mentioned Pacific halibut, Atlantic cod. I mentioned changes in some of the pollock estimates. Well, all fishery models are going to change from year to year, but all models also depend on retrospective looks at historical data. And in a situation where there are new changes in water current patterns and water temperature, and things keep arising of that nature, it makes the retrospective analysis less accurate. And so I think that what we're seeing in New England is going to be very tough, and that we've got to kind of face up to the idea of how the industry here can survive in the face of potentially significant ecological changes. In Lexington, Mass., this is John Sackton.